Hi, I'd like to welcome comedian Darren Harriott and chef Hasan Semay, who are going to talk about a really exciting new project by Ancestry called DNA Kitchen. So, Darren, I understand, took a DNA test, but it was up to Hasan to reveal the results behind his family history, but in food form. And my understanding was could Darren and the general public who tried Hassan's meal work out his DNA makeup? I think I've pretty much got that as it was, yeah?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed that right there.
Fantastic. So, quick question to either of you. What was it about the show that made you want to be part of it then?
Well, I'll answer first. I've always been curious about my DNA. I've always, obviously, I'm aware that there was a bit of a, especially the general, I'll call it the black diaspora, I guess, where I'm Jamaican. My family are all from Jamaica, both sides, but obviously, I know that we didn't start there. I knew it was somewhere in Africa, and various family members over the years have done a few different types of DNA tests.
Okay.
So, and then it all came up, none of it came up Jamaican at all. And I think it all started off when Ainsley Harriott did Who Do You Think You Are? That TV show. And obviously, Who Do You Think You Are is a bit different. They go into like family, your sort of history, and you're related to a king or whatever. And they traced it back to a guy called Ebenezer Harriott, who was Scottish, and he was like a Scottish slave master, and he went over there because my surname Harriott, I know Scottish, and because I know that I should point out as well that with Ainsley and Harriott, we are definitely related. There's a cousin thing there. It's like it's removed, but we are definitely
I did
related.
wonder actually seeing the name. Yeah,
Yeah. We are related on my granddad's side. I think my granddad and his dad, they have some sort of something. So yeah, I think I got my family more interested as well. I had an idea of where I might come from. Well, in terms of the DNA test,
Yeah.
but there was plenty of surprises that popped up that I didn't expect.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I just always been quite sort of interested to see what would come up.
Yeah. So do you think now, based on taking the DNA test, then, the results with the DNA matches that you've obviously got, will you be like going further into that then? Has that kind of spurred you into knowing more and wanting to? I suppose the thing is, people take DNA tests for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
Do you want to find out more about the matches, or is it more to do now with you understand your sort of your makeup, and you're interested in sort of that sort of closer family tie? Where's the want to go for you?
Yeah, I think for me personally, because it's basically just all sort of West African.
Yeah.
Like 48%. It's like a Brexit result, really. It's like 48-52. It's like 48 Nigerian uh to sort of everything else. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Nigeria. I'd always wanted to go purely because Nigeria is it's has the biggest it's the biggest country in terms of like a black population. I think there's like over like 90 million
Okay.
of um of black people like in Africa, and I know loads of people who are from Nigeria, friends and whatnot. And again, I've always seen Jamaicans and Nigerians as being quite similar. There is definitely a similar vibe, not just in terms of how they are as people. I've always found them to be quite similar, so it makes sense that a lot of Jamaicans, like myself, originate sort of from Nigeria. So, yeah, I'm gonna go to Nigeria. I might do it next year sometime. I tend to go away on a lot of holidays anyway, so I'd always wanted to go, but I think I will. I think I'll do more West Africa. I've always been interested in Nigeria
Okay.
and Ghana myself, so. I think I'm gonna go and have it out. But in terms of changes toward for me, nothing's really changed. It's just I'd always known,
Yeah.
I mean, I found out, from a young age, man. My name's Darren Harriott. Right? That is a sort of Anglo-Saxony sounding name. It's not.
Yeah.
So, anyone who was African, they would always just go, well, "What's your African name?" And I'd be like, "What do you mean? It's Darren Harriott." So. I've always known that my family history is from somewhere further afield where we're from. So, but yeah, and nothing's really going to change. I will go to Nigeria and look into, just holidaying there. But in terms of culturally, I definitely see myself obviously as British.
Yeah.
But then the secondary, it's Jamaican first before anything else. But
Yeah.
it's really interesting to know, that I'm like, what I've got here, like, yeah, Benin and Togo and Malay and Ivory Coast, and this is all interesting to me. This
Yeah.
is like new. The Western Bantu peoples. I didn't know that. So it's been really interesting to know.
Good.
And ever since then, when I've met a Ghanaian, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm 16% Ghanaian. So
It's like I know you. It's like so
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
so about you, Hassan. How did you get involved in the program then? Were you interested in family history or?
I think growing up, dual nationality makes anyone interested in where they're actually from.
Hmm.
So I grew up half Turkish Cypriot, half
Yeah.
English, and Cyprus as a country is right in the middle of the world. Has been run by the Argentinians, the Spanish, the English. Like, it's got a vast, vast history. And being Cypriots anyway, um, finding out whether we stemmed from like Greek descent or Turkish descent because the island's divided, um, played a big part in wanting to find out who I was and where mum came from because mum's white British, nan's from Sheffield, granddad was born in East London. Um, and I didn't get to do a DNA test until after the show.
I was going to say it's
So,
obvious.
uh,
I could tell you obviously have taken a test now.
Oh, okay.
I was doubly excited to find out Darren's and see the reaction and have that conversation to find out whether things changed. I
Yeah.
got my results this week.
Hey.
I'm 2% Nigerian. And then it's like um, the Balkans, Eastern Europe, Israel, Turkey, Greece, and then southern Italy, which,
Wow.
yeah, like location wise makes sense basically. And if you think about how people traveled and where migration and stuff, it makes sense. Personally, for me, the reason that I wanted to be on board was um, almost like the racism that we face through food as well as like everyday
Okay.
stuff. Like Darren grew up with an English name, but as a black kid, I grew up with a Turkish name, but as a London kid first. Do you know what I mean? So there's definite things that set us apart, whether it be skin color or being judged on your name. But I quite like the fact that we were given the chance to look at Darren's DNA results, and then I got to do like research and dive in and be like, oh, what can we mishmash and
Yeah.
where can we pull inspirations from? And Darren's list was quite long. I think it was 11 places in the end, and then I
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
Yeah. I was going to
dig
say
a
actually that was what I was going to lead on to actually, Hassan. So how long from knowing his results did you have before you had to present him with this menu that you designed? Was it much time or was it
I think I have 4 days.
whoa.
So I found out. So it was. They didn't tell me who Darren was. They didn't give me a name. They were like, "This is the DNA result, right?"
Okay.
Um, so there, I did like chef hat on, just treated it as if I was writing a menu. And then when I met Darren, I was like, "Oh," because one of the first things I said to him was like, "How do you identify?" Which I think is a strange word or strange way of asking someone where they're from.
Uh,
And then when he told me that he's Jamaican, grew up in the black country, and then I was looking at this piece of paper and I was like, it's predominantly African. Do you know what I mean? And then I get to do like I almost was like stars in your eyes moment where I got to do the big reveal and was like, I know more than you do. But I really enjoyed being involved and the fact that the people that we fed knew what they were eating or knew like we had a Ghanaian guy identify that we were making either Ghanaian or Nigerian rice, and then a girl from Dover who was like, "Oh, we eat samphire all the time." It was those little nuances that make food that bit more special. Do you know what I
mm.
mean?
I was,
Yeah.
yeah, because obviously I've obviously watched it, and I was really quite impressed in how well the general public actually clued in to what you put in the menu to what had come out in the DNA results. So obviously your menu worked, and they were quite clued in on what that kind of where these flavors and things were coming from. So that must have made you feel quite good that you'd nailed it in terms of the recipe.
Yeah, I mean, to cook jollof for the first time and get it right, I was quite proud of myself to be fair.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So obviously you've just had your results. So obviously this is a bit sort of jumping you in. What meal would you then cook based on the ancestry results that you've just got this week?
Oh, I think with there being an Italian influence, there'd have to be some sort of pasta.
Okay.
Um, but then looking at like Israeli and that side, would it be a couscous? Would there be pomegranate molasses? I think as a whole, as a protein, if I were to identify as a protein, I think I'd be lamb with my results.
Oh,
That's
perfect.
where the lamb eaters are most prominent. I reckon it'd be some sort of lamb pasta or like a lamb wrapped in phyllo or some sort of parcel. That kind of vibe would have been where
Yeah.
I'd have gone with my.
That, do you know what? You're making me really hungry. I love lamb, absolutely love lamb. So, Darren, obviously, you were really pleased with the menu and the food that was cooked. What did I suppose the thing is, you kind of knew as you walked in that he was going to be cooking you a meal. What did you expect to see? Obviously, there was jollof. Was that what you were expecting?
I think I picked up on jollof with with the ingredients. One of the ingredients, the kedri jollof.
Mm.
I didn't expect the samphire. I didn't even know what that was. That threw me for six. That was the revelation. Especially, I mean, even at the end when it was actually cooked, and that girl who just so happened to have been from the one place it's from just nailed it, and I was like, "What is going on here?" Yeah, I knew it was going to. I assumed it was go. I think maybe because I spoke to the shopkeeper, the Ghanaian shopkeeper, I just had Ghanaian in my head more. I was easily swayed by just a very nice Ghanaian lady, and then all of a sudden I'm just a Ghanaian guy now. But I knew it was going to be African. I There was a part of me that was hoping there would be some form of Jamaican, something that was a bit more like, as in like strongly Jamaican to
Okay.
me. But there wasn't anything that was like strongly like obviously Jamaican, which makes sense because I'm literally like 50%. 50% Nigerian alone. Like in my DNA, it's like what 70, 80% straight African, which makes sense. But yeah, I was so glad rice was involved because I love rice. It's my favorite food in the world. So I was very happy to see rice there. If it was pasta, I wouldn't have been happy. That would have threw me. I would have been like, what is going on? Um, but yeah, it being a jollof rice, a kedri jollof, especially with the spices and the eggs and everything that was mixed in, it was delicious. I mean, even when we got to the people testing it, I mean, they finished it. I remember walking out there. Me and Hass walked out there with like extra plate. Anybody want any more? And they were like, "Yeah, give us more." And I mean, the serving sizes were almost too small. It was an absolute hit, and it was there was definitely. I mean, again, I didn't cook it. I didn't cook it. I didn't create it. That's the brilliance of Hassan.
Yeah.
But just to have a meal based on my DNA that could come together and work as well as it did in that moment was there was definitely a sense of pride because a lot of the ingredients. Well, you know what? The whole thing, the whole meal in general was nearly all completely new to me. Like some of the ingredients I'd never even tasted before. I didn't even have, or maybe I've tasted but didn't know what they were. So to put them all together, it was a unique flavor, and it felt very much, if as it should do, it felt very much me. It felt very much my DNA is on this plate,
Yeah.
and to see other people enjoy it and really like it, and not only enjoy it, but like pick up, oh, that's from da 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 da. Da. This is, that's from that place, that's from this place. Was Yeah, I definitely had a sense of pride. It's definitely something that I'm very prideful of and happy about. I sent it to all my family as well. My
Yeah.
family were all really impressed because my family are strong Jamaicans. They are so strong Jamaicans, and I think with my auntie when she did her DNA test and it just came back like it came back nearly the same as mine, to be honest. Like heavy Nigerian as well. It's nice to know because I didn't with my dad's family. I didn't really know my dad's family as well. My dad passed away when I was young, so I just know that they're from they're all from Jamaica. My great grandparents came from my granddad and my grandma on both sides came from Jamaica 50s and 60s. Like they literally came to the similar same area, not married around the same time, and then just got together in the West Midlands, and to see. how similar. I mean, my mom was like, I think it was like 24% Nigerian. My dad was like 25% Nigerian, and then all the others were quite similar as well. It's yeah, it was really it actually made me feel quite emotional just to see, especially about my dad's history because I wouldn't have known this any other way. So it's
Yeah.
nice to see that they where my dad's family come from and you know how strong those genes are with me. It was almost too similar where you do worry about incest, but it,
But yeah, you're absolutely fine. Oh no, that's amazing. That's really nice. I think that's the power of DNA, isn't it? And like this thing about you feeling connected to a place and also connected through your family to a place. And particularly if
yeah,
you think you know where you were from or you know what
yeah.
you're expecting and then for it not to be. And do you think that's the same with you, Hassan? Did you feel once you got your DNA results, do you feel more connected to a place, or was those surprises such as the Italian, as that kind of pinged you off in different directions?
I think I wouldn't say I've developed an identity crisis over it, but what I would say is I feel like it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like my love for pasta and tomatoes and aubergine and those ingredients. Not only, but like I guess I once thought that that was purely off being Cypriot, but it's about who was there before and how ingredients got to certain places. I've always had a problem with having the second most common Muslim name in the UK and growing up in North London and not being pigeonholed or be expected to be of a certain religion or be a certain type of way. All I wanted to do on this project was make sure that no one's feelings were hurt because I feel like food's something that we hold so closely, like with dear love, and I didn't want anyone to be like, "Oh, why have you made this?" or "Why have you done that?" or like almost like the food stigmas that we have and the stereotypes. But what I wanted to do was almost celebrate the differences and celebrate migration and celebrate people being able to live and stay wherever they wanted. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that finding my results make me look at the world any different, but it is something that I feel like I'd bring up over a couple of pints every now and again. Do you know what I mean? Or like at a dinner party, I'd be like, oh, by the way, I'm 2% African, therefore I can cook jollof proper. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like it's a conversational piece more than anything.
Yeah.
Um, but there weren't many surprises for me in the breakdown itself. It all kind of makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And so, Darren, hearing what Hassan just said about feeling a responsibility to, not to upset, did you realize that? Did you realize the pressure? I'm going to say pressure. It sounds like pressure. Did you realize the pressure that he had on himself to make sure that when you as a virtual stranger were going to come through and it's going to be like, this is you on a plate?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, I can only sort of obviously say how I felt. I mean, I can only imagine the pressure that he was on. Not only did he have to make this based on, my DNA, and then obviously as a chef, he's hoping that I like it, which obviously I did. But then you got to give it to a lot of other people, a lot of
Yeah,
strangers
yeah.
as well. And then a new sort of recipe for him to make and for me to make all in one, and then you hope that they liked it as well. So it's a real testament to his skills as a chef because I mean it was high fives all around as well. And then as soon as I enjoyed it and I was like, oh wow, I can taste all the different ingredients. Oh, that's from here, and he explained it all really well to me. To then see to then take over the food to these sort of random people. I put myself in Hazard's position, and I was also like, "Oh God, I hope they like it." This is they're eating a bit of me now. I almost acted like I was the chef. I was like, I hope they enjoy it as well. And yeah, yeah, they really did. And it's just funny how quickly that changed to just me being like the panicky Pete, hoping that they enjoy food based on my DNA.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So, Hassan, would you do this again then? Would you like the challenge of being presented with this sort of ethnic breakdown and go, here it is, let's make a meal?
I'd love to. I'm almost jealous that no one's done it for me.
Yeah.
Like I want someone to break down my DNA and be like, "Here's you, bro. Like enjoy." But if there's an opportunity to do it again, I'll do it again and again. I found it really interesting.
Yeah.
to see the similarities. I know, like, there's obviously countries that border one another that have the same ingredients and the same interpretation around food and use ingredients the same way, but there's always that something, no matter where you go, that's a talking point between aunties or an argument between uncles that's celebrated food wise. And to to get those right, but also introduce ingredients from a new place and also make it delicious and edible and have people understand it, for me, is the kind of thing that keeps food interesting. Like, we're all used to watching shows or being fed Instagram reels or whatever, but then there's this whole topic of food that's not spoken about, and it's about migration, it's about celebration, it's about identity, it's about all of those little things that make your dinner party or breaking bread with people that much more enjoyable. And for me, it's the kind of cooking that I enjoy doing the most, to be fair.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Well, yeah, I mean, what else can I say? That's a fantastic way to finish having a chat with the both of you. Thank you so much for sharing, the time and giving me an insight on what it was like to take part in the
No,
DNA and then, to make that recipe. And it's fascinating, you've both now got your DNA results and, that bit more that you know about each other. And yeah, I think what's come across in this that I didn't fully appreciate in the video was the care and attention and how that feeling of wanting to represent in the right way. And I think you've really explained that beautifully. So thank you, both of you. It's been great.
All,
Yeah.
all of the credit goes to Hass. He had to do this.
stop it.
He was not only did he have to work, not only did he have to work in like a completely new kitchen, he's surrounded by cameras, he's dealing with deadlines, he's making food for somebody he didn't know, and it all really came together. So yeah, they should definitely get Hass to do some more of them because he honestly really nailed it. And I wouldn't have. When I think of the experience, I have a positive experience of the whole thing,
Yeah.
not just because of my DNA, but because of the meal and because of seeing the enjoyment. And a lot of that definitely comes down to Hass. So I've got a big thank you to him because it's a special moment to find out your family history. And in this idea that they came up with, the right man on the day nailed it. So yeah, a lot of it has to go to Hass as well because,
Oh,
like I said,
no.
I just gave it DNA.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well then, yeah. Well, thanks to Darren, but a big thank you.
yeah,
We'll just like take him off the recording and we'll just listen to about the menu and stuff. You're right. He did nothing. He did nothing.
Appreciate it. Like,
no, this has been great. Thank you to Ancestry as well. It's a great
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad I did it. It's one of the things I've done where I can. It's very rare you do things in general. Just in, I know, my career is a bit weird, and I'm sure it has as well. What he does, it gets strange outside of the norms of what he does.
Mm.
And to do something like this is something that will stick with me and my family and my kids and my kid. It's something that will just go on. So it's very rare you get to do something that you can sit around in 50 years and go, "Hey, I'm from," because you can watch this, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, excellent point. Excellent point. Well, thank you very much, guys. And it was lovely to talk to you. And I really appreciate the time. And I hope to see more people watching it now. And also maybe some more episodes being made in the future. And obviously, I think we know the chef that maybe the go-to chef. Who knows? Who knows? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll see you in a bit.